In a secluded valley, beneath a canopy of stars, a donkey grazed peacefully. The world was silent, save for the gentle rustling of leaves and the occasional chirp of nocturnal creatures. The donkey, content and unaware, was a symbol of serenity in the stillness of the night. Suddenly, a creaking sound shattered the tranquility. The donkey's ears perked up, alert to the disturbance. From the shadows emerged a figure, cloaked in darkness, eyes gleaming with malevolence. Before the donkey could react, a muzzle was swiftly secured over its mouth, silencing any protest. The peaceful night was replaced by a sense of dread as the donkey was forcibly led away from its familiar surroundings. The journey led to a barren land devoid of life and color. The air was thick with despair, and the ground was cracked and dry. Here, numerous donkeys, mere shadows of their former selves, toiled endlessly under the watchful eyes of cruel overseers. Their eyes, once full of life, now reflected only emptiness and resignation. The masters of this desolate place were embodiments of cruelty and greed. They demanded relentless labor from the donkeys, offering only the bare minimum to sustain life. Whips cracked through the air, enforcing obedience through pain and fear. The newly captured donkey, though initially resistant, found escape impossible. Each attempt was met with brutal punishment, leaving physical and emotional scars. Within days, the donkey's spirit waned, teetering on the brink of surrender. One day, as the gates of the compound malfunctioned, an opportunity presented itself. The donkey, weakened but observant, noticed the loosened chains and the ajar gate. Fear held it back until a heron, perched nearby, spoke with urgency and wisdom. Emboldened by the heron's words, the donkey mustered the courage to act. With effort, it slipped free and bolted towards the open gate. The alarm was raised, and the overseers gave chase, determined to recapture their escapee. As if the world itself responded, a storm erupted. Rain poured, turning the ground into treacherous mud. Visibility diminished, and the donkey stumbled, its strength waning. Despair beneath the vast dome of stars, the world had seemed simple, quiet, and ordered. The stars above did not predict the suffering that would follow, nor did the winds whisper of the coming struggle. Yet as with all things in life, change often arrives not with thunder, but in silence. One moment of stillness broken, and the universe shifts. The donkey's name was not remembered by the world, but his story was. For what he represented was far greater than any name. He was the echo of those who suffer in silence, who struggle against invisible chains, and who long for freedom even when they no longer believe in it. He had grazed under the stars many times, dreaming of nothing more than sunrises and clover. But when the dark figure led him away, his world collapsed inward. He was taken to a place where dreams were outlawed. A wasteland not just in appearance, but in spirit. The sun beat down with no warmth. The winds howled but carried no comfort. Donkeys with bones protruding from their hides walked in endless circles, tied to millstones they could not escape. Their hooves were worn, their backs scarred, and their eyes told stories of long, forgotten freedom and eternal toil. It was here the donkey was brought, cast into this gray reality without so much as a word of explanation. The masters of this place were men, but not in the way we think of men. They were beings who had long since traded compassion for control. Their minds had calcified around the belief that power was the right to torment. They used pain not as punishment, but as a routine, as if cruelty were as natural as breathing. The donkey resisted at first, not through violence, but through refusal. He stood firm when commanded to move. He turned his head away when struck, but resistance, in a place where hope was mocked, earned nothing but increased brutality. Each time he stood up, the whips came down harder. Each time he tried to speak with his eyes, they responded with silence and iron. His body weakened. The food they gave was just enough to delay death, and the water always stale, always limited barely past his cracked lips. Nights were the worst, not because of the cold, but because of the memories. He would dream of the stars, the grass, the wind that once carried the scent of life, and then he would wake to chains, to stone, to the bitter smell of defeat. But fate, in its strange way, does not abandon those who keep even a flicker of will alive. One morning, after a storm had rattled the compound gates loose, a rare error occurred. The great iron entrance, so often guarded like the gates of a king's fortress, had jammed open. It hung awkwardly, a door to another world. And on that same morning, the donkey's chains had slipped not by magic, but by the slow erosion of weight, of skin, of spirit. He was thin enough now that the shackles no longer clung tightly to his legs. He saw the opportunity. Freedom stood before him in the open gate, but along with it came the oldest adversary of all fear. What if they caught him again? What if the pain he'd already endured was nothing compared to what they'd do if he failed? That's when the heron arrived. It had been there before, watching from the trees, saying nothing, but now it descended. Its feathers were white like untouched snow, its voice calm but urgent. "What are you waiting for?" it asked. Freedom is not a gift, it is a decision. The donkey trembled, unsure whether he was hallucinating from hunger or hearing something real. But the heron's eyes held no mockery, no command, only truth. "You may not believe you can make it," the heron continued, "but I have seen the road. From above, I see where it leads. You are closer than you think." These words broke through the fog of fear, and the donkey moved. Slowly at first, then faster. He slipped free of the chains, his hooves striking the dust as he darted toward the gate. The alarm was raised. The masters screamed, mounted their beasts, and gave chase. Their eyes were full of fury, not because he was escaping, but because he had dared to believe he could. The worst thing one could do in such a place was to hope. Hope made others question. Hope made others restless. Rain began to fall, not a gentle shower, but a violent downpour, as if the heavens themselves were weeping. The path became slick, and the donkey slipped often. His breath was ragged. His body cried out for rest, for surrender. He stumbled against fallen logs. His knees gave way under stones. He was soaked, blinded, and utterly alone on the ground. Behind him, the thunder of hooves drew near. He was sure the end had come. And then, through the deafening sound of the storm, the heron's voice again, "Keep moving. Even if you crawl, move. You are almost through." The donkey sobbed not because he was weak, but because he still wanted to believe. With one last surge of energy, he stood and walked. Not ran, walked. He placed one hoof in front of the other, teeth clenched, breath shallow. The rain did not stop him. The pain did not stop him. He walked. And suddenly, as if by magic, the rain ceased. The clouds parted just enough for the light to break through, and in that moment of clarity, the donkey saw it. A small settlement in the distance, familiar. Safe, real, he was closer than he had ever been. The riders stopped. Perhaps they were not permitted to cross that invisible boundary, or perhaps they feared the gaze of others, but they turned back, cursing, spitting, defeated. The donkey reached the edge of the settlement and collapsed. He was found by those who had loved him before. They cried, embraced him, fed him, washed his wounds. He had returned not as he was, but as something new. He was marked by pain, yes, but also by wisdom. Later, the heron came to rest nearby. The donkey, eyes full of gratitude, looked to it. "Why did you help me?" he asked. "Why did you believe in me when I didn't?" The heron replied softly, "Because I could see what you could not. When you are inside the storm, the sky is gone, the path is hidden, but from above I saw where it ended, and I knew that if you just kept going, you would be safe." There was silence then. The donkey closed his eyes and breathed deeply, no longer afraid. In that stillness, he realized something profound. Storms are temporary. Pain is real, but it does not last. The only thing permanent is the direction you choose. You may be walking through your own storm right now. You may be tied to invisible chains, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. You may be surrounded by those who want you to forget that freedom even exists. They will try to convince you that life is only survival, that you must obey, that dreams are dangerous. But there is another voice, one that speaks above the noise. That voice tells you that freedom is not a place, but a decision. That you are stronger than you think, that pain is a part of the journey, not its end, that even in your darkest moment, the light is closer than it seems. Do not stop. Even when your feet are heavy, even when the world tells you to surrender, keep going. The chains that bind you are often illusions. They live not in the world, but in the mind. Break them, and you will begin to see the gate that's been open all along. Do not wait for permission to change your life. Do not wait until you're ready, or until others approve. The world will never give you perfect conditions. Storms are meant to challenge you, not defeat you. You are not here to be silent, or invisible, or obedient to the fear inside your head. You are here to rise, to run, to reclaim what was stolen from you, your hope, your dignity, your direction. And remember, even if you can't see it, someone may already be watching from above the clouds, guiding you. A friend, a stranger, a quiet voice inside you that refuses to die. So move forward, and when you reach that moment, the one where the sky clears and you finally see how far you've come, you'll understand what all the pain was for. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. If this story stirred something within you, if you've ever felt like the donkey, tired, hopeless, on the edge of surrender, know this: you are not alone, and this is not the end of your story. It is only the storm before the light. So stand up, take a breath, and walk.